Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared across the void, vibrating the hull as the TCS Aegis launched from the orbital dock. Admiral Sen Varic's chest tightened at the sight of the fleet dispersing. His fleet, his command, and yet trust had been broken. Reports came in. A sudden loss of communication with the Leviathan's patrol grid. Dr. Kara Holt's voice crackled over the comms, trembling. "Admiral, fragments are falling on New Eridani. The hull, it's alive." Sen gritted his teeth, feeling the weight of centuries as if history itself had turned on them. Holt's sensors revealed something impossible. Consciousnesses embedded in the fragments, whispering through quantum noise. "They found us," they hissed in unison. The Admiral's eyes scanned the holographic map. The dimensional rift that once swallowed the Leviathan was flickering, reopening like a wound in space. Sen knew this was no accident. Someone had forced the Leviathan into its final battle, and now its echo haunted the galaxy. Orders were given, coordinates locked. They would trace the fragments, uncover the truth, and prepare for the threat beyond normal space. New Eridani's skies burned with fire as the Leviathan's fragments plunged into its atmosphere. Civilian colonies scattered, while automated defense drones tried to intercept shards of the colossal vessel. Admiral Varic hovered above the control console, hands gripping the edges as he studied the fragment's energy signatures. "Each one carries a mind," Holt said softly, scanning the data. "Memories, strategies. They're warning us." Sen's jaw tightened. The Leviathan had become a ghostly oracle, its fragments scattering pieces of its soul to the winds. In the ruins of a crashed fragment, holographic images flickered into existence. Scenes of the Leviathan's final moments, battles fought across dimensions. Soldiers screamed in silence, and alien constructs tore through the fleet. Holt's fingers danced over her console, translating the whispers into tactical data. Sen realized the Leviathan's fall was not a defeat, but a message. The war they thought was over had never ended. Somewhere beyond normal space, a predator waited, patient and intelligent, and the galaxy itself would tremble if they failed to decipher the Leviathan's warnings in time. Sen's command bridge shook as another fragment pierced the upper atmosphere of Titan 9. Explosions rattled nearby stations and panic surged through the comm channels. "Secure civilian sectors," Sen barked. Holt's team analyzed the fragment's quantum matrix. It pulsed rhythmically like a heartbeat, each pulse carrying tactical warnings. "They're alive, but aware," she whispered, awe and fear mixing in her tone. The Admiral's mind raced. What intelligence survived in the Leviathan's remnants? And what could it tell them about the threat lurking beyond the rift? Holographic projections of the Leviathan's battle filled the tactical display. Fleets consumed in pockets of folded space, alien weaponry unlike anything in human records, and crews caught between dimensions. Holt traced a recurring pattern, a signal that seemed to anticipate enemy maneuvers before they occurred. Sen's lips pressed into a thin line. If they could understand this, perhaps they could prepare. But time was slipping. The rift's reopening accelerated, and fragments now arrived in increasingly erratic trajectories. Each collision brought whispers, warnings, and dread. Humanity's largest weapon had fallen, yet it still spoke. The TCS Aegis entered the Leviathan's fragment field. Shards floated like jagged stars, each one a miniature fortress carrying echoes of battles long past. Sen watched through the viewport as a fragment's surface shimmered, displaying images of human and alien crews locked in psychic combat. "It's as if it's guiding us," Holt murmured, decoding the subtle shifts in energy signatures. "Showing us paths, showing us dangers." Varic clenched his fist. The Leviathan's last moments were becoming a map to survival or annihilation. The Admiral's hollow display revealed a pattern, fragments aligned in a trajectory toward the rift's epicenter. Sen realized the Leviathan had not merely fallen, it had been lured, and its scattered mind now orchestrated a warning. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered, voice low but commanding. "We trace these paths and find what lies beyond." Holt nodded, understanding the stakes. Each fragment was a puzzle, a memory etched in metal and energy. Fail to interpret it, and the galaxy would face whatever had consumed the Leviathan centuries ago. The hunt had begun. Drifting amidst a ring of fragments, Sen's fleet felt vulnerable, like ants circling a storm. The whispers grew louder, coherent now. Coordinates, alien symbols, tactical insights. Holt struggled to translate the last fragment's transmission, her eyes wide. "Admiral, it's a call to arms. The Leviathan knew the rift would reopen and it left instructions. For us." The Admiral exhaled, his mind heavy with responsibility. He had inherited the war centuries too late, but the Leviathan's final gift might be humanity's only hope. Sensors detected anomalies in the rift's edge, distortions, energy surges, and a shadow moving within the dimensional veil. Sen's gaze hardened. Time was no longer an ally. "We go in," he commanded, activating the fleet's engines. Each vessel surged forward, fragments streaming past like spectral guides. Holt's console pulsed with alien data, guiding them closer. In the Admiral's mind, a single thought resonated. If the Leviathan could fight across dimensions, then so could they. Humanity's largest phantom had fallen, but its legacy would light the way through the darkness beyond. Engines groaned under strain as the fleet pierced the rift's outer edge. Space twisted unnaturally, stars bending into impossible arcs. Admiral Varic gripped the console as fragment whispers intensified, giving warnings that felt almost sentient. Holt's eyes scanned the readouts. The Leviathan's memories were no longer guidance. They were a map of ambushes, of traps laid across dimensions. "This isn't just a battlefield," she said, voice trembling. "It's a maze, designed to destroy anyone who enters unprepared." Sen's jaw tightened. Humanity's survival would depend on outthinking the ghosts of their own fleet. Suddenly, a fragment pulsed violently, projecting a scene. Leviathan crew fighting alien phantoms that shimmered through dimensional folds. One spectral figure moved like it anticipated every maneuver, striking with perfect timing. Holt translated the coordinates. "We can't avoid them. We can only counter predictively." Sen issued rapid orders. Fleet formation shifted as if dancing to the Leviathan's memory. Each pulse of the fragment reshaped strategy, revealing weaknesses in enemy patterns. The Admiral felt the weight of centuries pressing on him. One misstep, and they would vanish as the Leviathan had, leaving only whispered warnings behind. A flash of energy erupted as an alien craft emerged from a fold in space, firing a cascade of plasma that disintegrated the nearest drone squadron. The Leviathan fragments glowed, projecting holographic shields that protected human ships in a synchronized rhythm. Holt's voice cut through the chaos. "They're adapting to the enemy. Guiding us." Sen's mind raced. This was no ordinary fleet. It was fighting through memory, using the Leviathan's last battle as a tactical tutor. Every decision was amplified, every maneuver anticipated. Humanity was learning to fight with ghosts. Within the rift, reality warped. Gravity bent sideways and time stuttered in irregular pulses. One moment, a fragment displayed a human officer screaming. The next, the same officer's actions repeated with a different outcome. Holt realized these were simulations, echoes of possible futures embedded in the Leviathan's consciousness. Sen's voice was steady over comms. "Use the echoes to predict their moves. Trust the Leviathan." Fleet AI synced with fragment pulses, adjusting weapon trajectories and shield rotations in real time. The Admiral knew the danger was immense, but so was the opportunity. They were fighting across time as much as space. A sudden collapse of space tore a nearby fragment apart, releasing an energy wave that rattled the fleet. Shards scattered, revealing more whispers. Left flank. Overrun. Failure. Holt interpreted rapidly, rerouting ships to avoid the predicted destruction. Sen's hands flew over the console. The Leviathan's mind was fragmented, chaotic, yet precise. A weapon even in death. Each warning was a thread they had to follow, a lifeline through the folding void. Humanity's largest phantom had become both shield and guide, and Sen could feel it watching, anticipating, demanding mastery. The Admiral ordered a closer approach to a larger fragment, the size of a city, its surface bristling with dormant weaponry. Holt's scanners detected dimensional distortions emanating from it. "It's a command node," she said, awe in her tone. "If we synchronize with it, we can control smaller rifts, or at least predict their behavior." Sen nodded grimly. The stakes were clear. They had to interface, to become part of the Leviathan's memory. Every decision carried weight. Every second was a gamble. The fleet pressed forward, engines straining, guided by whispers from a vessel long dead but unwilling to be forgotten. The first wave of alien phantoms struck with surgical precision. Ships disintegrated in seconds, vanishing into spatial folds. Sen's voice carried calm through the comms, but inside he burned with urgency. Holt's console displayed a lattice of potential futures, each fragment of the Leviathan lighting paths of survival. "Predictive fire patterns," she shouted, synchronizing human weapons with fragment pulses. Ships fired not just at enemies but at possibilities, intercepting phantoms before they could materialize. The battle had become a dance of causality, guided by memories embedded in metal and consciousness. One massive fragment shimmered violently, revealing the Leviathan's final command deck. Holographic officers relayed instructions, their voices overlaying Holt's translations. Contain. Divert. Survive. Sen realized the Leviathan had left a contingency, an escape plan embedded in quantum echoes. Following its guidance, the fleet maneuvered into an unstable fold, drawing the phantoms away from civilian sectors. The Admiral's heart pounded. They were not merely reacting. They were executing a battle choreographed by a vessel lost to history. Humanity was learning to fight as one with a ghost, balancing on the edge of annihilation. The rift's center loomed ahead, a swirling void that seemed to devour light, fragments aligned in concentric patterns forming a lattice around the opening. Holt's console glowed with energy readings. The Leviathan's final act had been a trap for the enemy, or perhaps for themselves. "If we enter unprepared, we won't just lose ships. We'll lose time, space, everything," she warned. Sen tightened his grip. The Admiral's voice was calm, though the tension in his chest was unbearable. "We follow the Leviathan. We learn. We survive." The fleet surged forward, engines burning bright against the darkness. A pulse erupted from the central fragment, resonating across the rift. Holographic projections of the Leviathan's last crew appeared, reliving the final battle in real time. Holt synced the fleet with the pulse, turning the memories into predictive algorithms. Enemy phantoms emerged, distorted and malevolent, yet the humans moved with uncanny precision, anticipating every strike. Sen watched the void swallow distance, knowing the final confrontation approached. The Leviathan had guided them to this moment, its fragments, its consciousness, its sacrifices, all leading to the cusp of a battle that could decide the fate of the galaxy. The rift trembled as the fleet entered its maw, gravity folding sideways and light fracturing into impossible angles. Admiral Varic's voice resonated over comms. "Maintain formation. Follow the Leviathan's pulse." Holt's console pulsed, each fragment transmitting strategies, showing them how the enemy moved through folds before materializing. Ships dodged attacks before they were even fired, guided by memories of a vessel long dead. Every decision became instinct, every movement a dance with history. Humanity was no longer alone. They were linked to the Leviathan's consciousness. Suddenly, a phantom strike tore through the fleet's left flank. Shards of alien craft shimmered and vanished, their attacks mirrored in the Leviathan's holographic warnings. Holt recalibrated shields, projecting fragment pulses onto weapon systems. The Admiral gritted his teeth as human fire met the enemy before it fully emerged. Time bent unnaturally, and the line between prediction and reality blurred. For a fleeting moment, Sen wondered if they were controlling the battle, or if the Leviathan's memory controlled them. Either way, survival demanded they trust the echoes. A massive fragment drifted ahead, larger than the Aegis itself, its hull shimmering with quantum distortions. Holt's scans revealed embedded command nodes, each projecting holographic crew members. "It's a bridge. The Leviathan's central AI core," she said, awe in her voice. Sen realized this fragment held the key to manipulating the rift. The Admiral issued orders to approach cautiously, weapons trained, engines throttled. Each pulse from the fragment guided fleet maneuvers like a conductor leading an orchestra, predicting threats, revealing ambush points, and offering glimpses of victory. Enemy phantoms surged in response, attacking in patterns that mirrored the Leviathan's own maneuvers. Sen's fleet moved like a single organism, adapting, countering, surviving. Holt interfaced with the fragment, decoding its quantum signals to anticipate rift instability. "The Leviathan isn't just guiding us, it's fighting alongside us," she whispered. Sen's eyes narrowed. Centuries of forgotten history now fought through their fingertips. Every holographic echo, every whispered warning, became a weapon. Humanity's largest phantom had fallen, yet its consciousness had turned death into a strategy. The rift's core shimmered with energy, twisting stars and consuming space. A pulse from the Leviathan fragment sent tremors through the fleet, revealing a hidden enemy formation. Phantoms emerged, alien constructs that warped reality around them. Holt shouted commands, linking fragment pulses with targeting systems. Ships dodged impossible trajectories, firing along predicted paths. The Leviathan's memories anticipated enemy strategy, allowing humans to counter before threats fully materialized. Admiral Varic felt a surge of grim hope. They were fighting the war that the Leviathan had died defending. A massive energy wave rolled through the rift, knocking smaller vessels off course. Holt stabilized the fleet, linking shield matrices with fragment pulses. The holographic officers on the fragment barked silent orders, guiding human crews through impossible folds in space. Sen's voice was steady, commanding, but his mind raced. This was more than battle. It was a test of coordination across dimensions. One miscalculation would be fatal. Each pulse of the Leviathan's fragment became a heartbeat of strategy, and humanity had to synchronize perfectly or be lost to the void forever. A colossal phantom, larger than any fragment, surged from the rift's core. Its hull shimmered with stolen energy, twisting space around it like a predator stalking prey. Sen's fleet reacted instantly, guided by the Leviathan's fragment. Holt translated the ghostly commands into tactical maneuvers. The Admiral realized the Leviathan had anticipated this apex predator. It had left precise instructions, showing how to weaken its defenses before it could strike. Every fragment became a node in a vast neural network of survival. Plasma beams tore through the void, striking the phantom, yet it absorbed and deflected energy almost effortlessly. Holt interfaced deeper with the fragment, syncing weapon systems with the Leviathan's memory. Fleet formations twisted, rotated, and converged as if choreographed by an unseen hand. Sen's mind focused on one immutable truth. The Leviathan's consciousness had survived death, and now it was directing humanity through its final strategy. The battle was no longer just about survival. It was about understanding the mind of a vessel that had become legend. The Leviathan fragment pulsed violently, projecting its most critical memory, the coordinates for a dimensional anchor that could stabilize the rift. Holt's fingers flew over the interface, aligning ships with the anchor's predicted location. "If we hit this correctly, we can contain the rift and trap the phantoms," she said. Sen's voice was calm but determined. "Then we do it. For the Leviathan. For the galaxy." Engines screamed as the fleet accelerated toward the anchor, weaving through the void with uncanny precision guided by the echoes of a lost Titan. Alien phantoms swarmed, attempting to intercept, but human vessels moved like living extensions of the Leviathan's mind. Energy beams pulsed in rhythm with fragment signals, tearing the enemy apart before they could strike. Sen watched the rift's edge warp and stabilize as the fleet reached the anchor's coordinates. A final pulse from the fragment reverberated across all systems, a signal of completion, a silent whisper of victory and warning. The Leviathan had died, yet its legacy remained. Humanity now had the chance to survive what centuries of war had almost erased. The rift stabilized, but the void beyond shimmered with unseen menace. Admiral Varic's fleet hovered at the edge, scanning for new threats. Holt's fingers danced across the fragment interface, translating residual Leviathan data into actionable maneuvers. "It's not over," she warned, eyes wide. "The Leviathan prepared us, but it also left something waiting." Sen's gaze hardened. The Admiral's instincts told him the rift was a gateway, not just a battlefield. Every fragment pulse, every whisper, hinted at a predator lurking just beyond comprehension. Suddenly, a tear opened in space. A secondary rift, smaller but unstable. Phantoms streamed from it, distorted and aggressive. The fleet moved in perfect synchrony, shields resonating with fragment pulses, deflecting assaults before they arrived. Sen realized the Leviathan had anticipated even this contingency. Its final memory was not just defensive, it was a map for counterattack. As the Admiral directed ships into formation, a chill ran down his spine. The enemy had followed the Leviathan's trail, and now humanity had to finish what the great phantom had begun. The secondary rift pulsed violently, flinging fragments of an unknown alien craft across the void. Holt identified them as experimental phantoms, shapes that bent light and twisted space. "They've evolved since the Leviathan's last encounter," she warned. Sen's voice was steady. "Then we evolve with them." Engines screamed as the fleet adjusted course, weaving through an impossible lattice of energy and debris. The Leviathan's fragments guided every maneuver, illuminating paths that defied normal physics. Humanity was learning to fight across dimensions, using echoes of the past to shape their future. A massive fragment erupted, projecting the Leviathan's final battle scenario in holographic clarity. Entire fleets moved in sync, executing tactics that had once defeated this enemy centuries ago. Sen's mind raced. They were not improvising. They were performing a battle choreographed by a dead Titan. Holt's hands translated every whisper into tactical advantage. Beams of light intersected enemy phantoms, neutralizing them before they could materialize fully. The Admiral realized that the Leviathan had designed the fragments as living instructions, a conscious strategy that turned memory into a weapon. A sudden shockwave tore through the fleet as an enormous phantom struck from the secondary rift. Energy flares blinded sensors, yet the Leviathan fragment pulsed, projecting defensive patterns in real time. "Follow the pulse," Holt shouted, recalibrating shields and engines. Ships twisted, dodged, and countered with precision impossible without guidance. Sen's chest tightened. Humanity was dancing with ghosts, moving in perfect synchrony with a consciousness that had perished centuries ago. Every fragment was a lifeline, every pulse a heartbeat of strategy and survival. Holographic projections of the Leviathan's crew flickered across the bridge, replaying moments of triumph and loss. Holt interpreted the tactical memory, a sequence of attacks that could neutralize the apex phantom before it reached the fleet's core. Sen's voice was calm but commanding. "Execute the sequence. Trust the Leviathan." The fleet moved as one, weapons firing along predicted paths, shields pulsing with fragment energy. For a fleeting moment, Admiral Varic felt as though the Leviathan itself had returned, not as a vessel, but as a mind guiding humanity toward victory. The Apex Phantom faltered, energy arcs destabilizing under the synchronized assault. Holt's console flared, revealing another hidden fragment deep within the rift. This one contains the Leviathan's core memory, the secret of the dimensional fold, she said, eyes wide. Sen's brow furrowed. To interface with it would be risky, but it could reveal how to seal the rift permanently. The fleet maneuvered toward the fragment, shields at maximum, sensors scanning for any anomaly. Humanity's fate now rested on a relic of a vessel thought lost to history. The fragment's surface shimmered with quantum light, projecting the Leviathan's captain in mid-battle. "Activate the core," the hologram instructed silently through pulse translations. Holt interfaced, drawing energy streams from the fragment into fleet systems. Ships responded instantly, weapon arrays realigned, shields synchronized. Sen felt the fragment's consciousness brush his mind, a surge of awareness, strategy, and sacrifice. The rift pulsed violently, reacting to the human intrusion, yet the Leviathan's memory held firm. For the first time, Admiral Varic glimpsed the possibility of victory, guided by the vessel that had died to warn them. Energy cascaded across the rift as the Leviathan's core fragment synchronized with fleet systems. Phantoms froze mid-attack, disoriented by the sudden shift in dimensional resonance. Holt recalibrated energy flows, projecting fragment pulses into predictive algorithms. "We can seal it," she whispered. Sen's voice carried calm authority. "Then we do it. Now." The fleet accelerated, weaving through distorted space, every ship moving as a single instrument of the Leviathan's final will. Humanity was no longer reacting. They were guided, prepared, and lethal. The rift's edges shimmered and twisted violently, threatening to consume all nearby vessels. The core fragment pulsed one final time, projecting a lattice of energy nodes that stabilized the fold. Alien phantoms surged for a last strike, only to be neutralized by synchronized weapons guided by Leviathan memory. Sen watched the rift shrink, edges sealing with a brilliant flash. Fragments drifted, whispering final echoes of warning and strategy. Humanity had survived, not by chance, but by following the ghostly intelligence of their greatest vessel. The Leviathan had died, but its legacy now held the galaxy together. The rift was sealed, but the void beyond remained a dark, humming expanse. Admiral Varic's fleet drifted cautiously, engines echoing in the vacuum. Holt's sensors detected faint energy ripples, traces of something massive moving beyond the fold. "It's still out there," she warned, eyes wide. "The Leviathan's fragments warned us, but they didn't show everything." Sen's jaw tightened. The battle they had survived was only the beginning. Somewhere in the shadows of the sealed rift, a predator waited, ancient, intelligent, and patient. Humanity had bought time, but not safety. The fleet reorganized, shields still resonating from fragment energy. Holt interfaced with the Leviathan's memory, attempting to uncover hidden warnings, but gaps appeared, echoes of battles the fragments hadn't recorded. Sen realized the Leviathan had fought something beyond comprehension, and even its consciousness couldn't fully map the enemy. "We need to prepare," he said quietly. "We've survived using ghosts, but soon we may have to face them directly." The Admiral's eyes scanned the void, heart heavy with responsibility. Humanity's greatest weapon had fallen, yet its lessons were only the start of a much larger war. Sensor anomalies rippled across the fleet, revealing distorted forms drifting beyond perception. Holt struggled to stabilize readings. Every fragment pulse hinted at a presence, but none were fully revealed. "It's adapting," she murmured, "learning from us, from the Leviathan." Sen gritted his teeth, gripping the console. The enemy they had survived within the rift was evolving faster than any human could anticipate. Every movement of their fleet was tracked, analyzed, and countered, not just physically but dimensionally. Humanity's largest phantom had given them survival. But the real war was about to begin. A distant flare of energy lit the void as something immense shifted across multiple planes simultaneously. Holt's console struggled to process the quantum signatures. "It's huge, bigger than anything in the Leviathan logs," she whispered. Sen's gaze hardened. They had fought phantoms, anomalies, and dimensional predators. But this was different. It wasn't just an enemy. It was a force, aware and patient, moving across dimensions with purpose. The Admiral ordered fleet readiness protocols, engines at maximum, weapons primed. Humanity would have to fight intelligence itself, not just ships, but the void that had claimed the Leviathan centuries ago. Another fragment pulsed faintly, drifting in the void, its surface scarred by battles long past. Holt accessed it, hoping for insight, but only whispers remained, fragments of warnings and half-formed strategies. "It's incomplete," she said. "The Leviathan couldn't foresee this, whatever it is beyond the rift." Sen studied the holographic projections, alien war machines, folding space around them, energy flows impossible to predict. The Admiral felt the weight of history pressing down. Humanity had survived the rift, but the Leviathan's guidance was limited. What came next would test every lesson embedded in the fragments. Sensors flared violently as a new anomaly emerged, bending light and gravity. Holt struggled to stabilize fleet positioning. Ships twisted unpredictably in the distorted field. "It's mapping us," she realized aloud. "Every maneuver we make, it records and adapts." Sen's voice cut through the alarm. "Then we fight smart, not fast. Every action has to anticipate the anticipation." The fleet moved cautiously, guided by Leviathan's memory and instinct. The enemy was no longer just a threat. It was a predator that could learn faster than human reflexes, and the galaxy's survival now rested on outthinking a consciousness older than humanity itself. The void trembled as a massive shadow unfolded, larger than the Leviathan itself. Its hull shimmered with warped energy, folding space like paper. Holt analyzed fragment pulses for clues, but the Leviathan's memory offered only warnings, not solutions. "We're not ready," she whispered, fear threading her voice. Sen's hand hovered over the command console, eyes narrowing. Humanity had faced annihilation before, guided by ghosts, but this enemy was different. Intelligent, aware, and patient. The fleet braced for contact, engines thrumming, shields at maximum. Every fragment whisper was a prayer and a warning. A pulse from the largest fragment revealed a map of rift folds, patterns the enemy had exploited centuries ago. Sen realized the Leviathan had fought only a portion of this predator's strategy. Holt interfaced with the fragment, feeding predictive algorithms into fleet AI. Ships moved with preternatural precision, weaving through impossible trajectories as the shadow advanced. The Admiral's mind raced. The Leviathan had left lessons, but no answers for the full scope of what waited. The galaxy's survival would now depend on humans stepping into the role of strategist, student, and soldier, guided by echoes of a vessel long dead. A sudden ripple tore through space as the shadow surged toward the fleet. Engines strained against warped gravity, and energy beams collided with alien constructs, scattering debris across the void. Holt's console glowed with Leviathan guidance, translating fragment pulses into actionable commands. "We have to strike together," she urged. Sen issued orders with calm precision, fleet formation shifting like a single organism. The Leviathan had prepared them for survival, but now they had to improvise, to fight with memory and instinct as one. The shadow twisted through folds, testing fleet reactions. Human ships fired in patterns dictated by fragment pulses, neutralizing the enemy before it fully materialized. Holt's eyes scanned the fragment interface. The Leviathan's final strategies projected one last warning: anticipate, adapt, endure. Sen's hands gripped the console, heart pounding. Humanity had survived centuries of forgotten history by following a ghost. Now, they faced the true predator beyond the rift, and only by merging with the Leviathan's consciousness could they hope to survive what centuries had nearly destroyed. The fleet pressed forward, engines screaming against the distorted gravity of the rift. Holt's sensors detected new energy surges, patterns unlike anything in the Leviathan's memory. "It's learning faster than anticipated," she warned. Sen's eyes narrowed. Every pulse from the fragments became both guidance and warning. The Leviathan had prepared them for a battle, but not for an evolving predator capable of anticipating their every move. The void ahead seemed alive, a predator stalking its prey across time and dimensions. Suddenly, a massive fold opened, and a distorted phalanx of alien warships emerged. They moved with unnatural precision, folding space to strike before humans could react. Holt interfaced with fragments, attempting to predict attack vectors. The Leviathan's memory offered partial strategies, but Sen realized the enemy had adapted to its lessons. The fleet maneuvered through impossible trajectories, guided by fragment whispers. Humanity was now fighting both enemy and environment, a battle across dimensions where every decision could mean extinction. One fragment pulsed violently, revealing a hidden Leviathan memory, a tactical map of the Rift Predator's prior assaults. Holt interpreted rapidly, connecting energy nodes with fleet systems. "If we follow this, we can anticipate its strike patterns," she said. Sen gave orders, weaving the fleet along the projected paths. The Leviathan's echoes guided them, turning death into strategy. Every maneuver became preemptive, every attack predictive. The enemy moved like a living algorithm, but humanity was beginning to match it. Ghosts teaching the living to survive. Suddenly, a massive wave of gravitational distortion surged through the fleet. Ships twisted uncontrollably, shields flaring to absorb energy spikes. Holt recalibrated fragment pulses, projecting new maneuvers in real time. Sen's voice was steady over comms. "We adapt, or we die." The Leviathan's whispers guided each action, but the enemy responded in kind, learning with every engagement. Humanity's fleet had become a living extension of the Leviathan's memory, fighting not just with weapons but with anticipation, strategy, and intuition inherited from a vessel long dead. A new fragment drifted close, larger than any previously encountered, scarred by centuries of battles. Holt interfaced cautiously, uncovering a hidden directive, a sequence of commands for activating the Leviathan's experimental dimensional systems. "This could give us an edge," she whispered. Sen's hands tightened on the console. The Admiral understood the risk. Activating these systems could stabilize the rift or accelerate its collapse. Yet the alternative, facing the Predator without them, was unthinkable. Humanity's survival now rested on the final, untested legacy of their greatest phantom vessel. The fleet synchronized with the fragment, drawing its energy into shields and weapons. Alien phantoms surged, testing the new formations. Engines screamed as ships twisted through impossible folds, guided by fragment pulses. Holt monitored energy flows, ensuring the Leviathan's directives didn't overload systems. Sen watched the void, heart racing. They were no longer reacting. They were shaping the battlefield using the intelligence of a vessel lost for centuries. The Leviathan had died, but its final secret offered humanity the chance to fight on terms it could not yet fully understand. The Predator revealed itself fully, a colossal construct of energy and folded space, shimmering with dimensional instability. Ships fired along paths dictated by fragment pulses, yet it anticipated every move. Holt interfaced directly with the largest fragment, feeding predictive algorithms into fleet systems. "We can't outgun it, only outthink it," she said. Sen's mind raced, realizing the Leviathan had prepared them not just to survive, but to strategize across dimensions like the enemy itself. The battle had become a war of cognition as much as firepower. Energy beams collided with the Predator, warping space around impact points. Fragment pulses shifted in real time, offering new attack vectors. Sen issued orders, fleet formations twisting and folding with uncanny precision. The Leviathan's final memory was more than a guide. It was a living map, predicting the Predator's behavior before it occurred. Holt's console pulsed with warnings and coordinates, a rhythm of survival. Humanity fought not with chance, but with centuries of strategy embedded in metal, consciousness, and memory. Victory depended on following the ghost of a vessel that had never truly died. The Predator faltered as fragment-guided weapons struck critical points, destabilizing energy nodes across its hull. Holt's interface displayed the Leviathan's ultimate secret, a dimensional resonance pattern capable of collapsing the Predator's folds temporarily. "We can trap it," she whispered. Sen's eyes blazed with determination, fleet formations aligning with the resonance pattern, energy streams pulsing in perfect harmony. The Leviathan had left a blueprint for survival, and now humanity had to execute it flawlessly. One misstep, and the Predator would consume them all. As the resonance activated, the Predator convulsed, folding space erratically. Fragment whispers intensified, guiding final maneuvers. Holt recalibrated weapon arrays, timing beams with dimensional pulses. Sen's voice cut through the tension. "Hold the pattern. Trust the Leviathan." The fleet moved as one, a living extension of a ghostly mind. The Predator's immense form shimmered, weakened by precise energy strikes and synchronized maneuvers. Humanity had survived the rift, but the true test was far from over. The Leviathan had provided the key, but the final confrontation with the Void's Predator still awaited, and victory would demand every lesson it had left behind. The Predator writhed, destabilized by the Leviathan-guided fleet, yet still immense and terrifying. Admiral Varic's voice cut through comms. "Maintain formation. No mistakes." Holt's console pulsed with fragment data, projecting attack patterns and weaknesses of the Predator. Every ship moved with precise timing, anticipating enemy folds and counters. The Leviathan's memory had become a living strategy, guiding humanity across impossible spatial distortions. The Admiral felt centuries of lost history pressing down, yet for the first time he sensed hope. Energy beams tore through space, colliding with the Predator's hull. Fragment pulses synchronized shields, stabilizing erratic rift folds to prevent fleet losses. Holt interpreted whispers from smaller fragments, emergency maneuvers, predicted folds, and potential traps. Sen's mind raced. Every step they took was choreographed by a ghostly Titan's memory. Humanity's survival depended on precision, intuition, and trust in echoes of a vessel long dead. The Predator fought back with cunning, but each attack was anticipated, deflected, and countered in perfect harmony with Leviathan's guidance. A sudden surge from the Predator tore a wedge through the fleet, displacing ships and energy nodes. Holt recalibrated fragment guidance, projecting new paths for the surviving vessels. "We can't fight it head-on," she shouted. Sen's jaw tightened. "Then we fight smarter, not harder." The Leviathan's core fragments pulsed, highlighting vulnerabilities in the Predator's dimensional folds. The Admiral realized the final victory would not be brute force. It would require perfect synchronization, prediction, and courage. Humanity was now dancing on the edge of survival, guided by echoes of a vessel that had died centuries before. The fleet twisted through warped space, weapons firing along predicted trajectories. Fragment pulses resonated through shields and engines, allowing ships to anticipate Predator strikes before they materialized. Holt's fingers flew across interfaces, translating Leviathan whispers into commands. Sen felt the weight of every lost crew, every fragment of memory pressing him forward. Humanity was no longer merely reacting. They were executing a battle designed by a phantom mind, merging living strategy with the past. Every strike, every dodge, every synchronized maneuver drew them closer to the Predator's core weakness. A massive Leviathan fragment hovered directly ahead, its surface glowing with a new pulse. Holt interfaced fully, uncovering hidden resonance codes capable of temporarily collapsing the Predator's dimensional stability. "This is our chance," she said. Sen nodded grimly. The fleet repositioned, engines roaring, weapons calibrated to fragment predicted nodes. The Leviathan's guidance became clearer, each pulse a heartbeat of strategy, each whisper a calculated command. Humanity moved as one, a living extension of a long-dead vessel poised on the edge of a decisive strike. The Predator reacted violently, distorting space in unpredictable folds. Fragment pulses adjusted instantly, guiding shields, engines, and weapons in perfect synchrony. Holt's voice cut through the tension. "Synchronize fire with the resonance pattern, now." Energy streams converged on the Predator's core fold, destabilizing it. Sen's heart raced, commanding every maneuver. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The Leviathan's memory had orchestrated this moment, and the Predator, for all its cunning, could not fully anticipate humanity's ghost-guided assault. The Predator convulsed, dimensional folds collapsing under synchronized energy strikes. Holt's console flashed continuously, guiding fleet maneuvers with split-second precision. "We can finish this," she urged. Sen's mind focused entirely on the battle. The Leviathan's whispers became a map, a rhythm, a heartbeat of strategy. The Predator's attacks grew desperate, wild, and yet every movement was countered, absorbed, or redirected. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. They were executing the final act of a battle that had begun centuries ago. Fragment pulses amplified across the fleet, connecting engines, shields, and weapons into a single resonant network. Energy beams tore into the Predator's core, exploiting every fold weakness revealed by Leviathan's memory. Sen's voice commanded flawlessly, every order executed in harmony with the fragment's guidance. Holt's calculations stabilized the rift's distortions, preventing catastrophic collapse. The Predator's form flickered and shrank, beaten but still intelligent, still adaptive. One final sequence remained, a perfect convergence of energy, fleet coordination, and Leviathan resonance. Victory, or annihilation, hung by a whisper. The final Leviathan fragment pulsed with a blinding energy, projecting the ultimate resonance pattern. Holt interfaced fully, guiding the fleet into perfect alignment. "This is it," she whispered. Sen felt centuries of strategy, sacrifice, and memory flowing through the ships. The Predator surged one last time, folding space violently, yet every movement was anticipated and countered. Fragment pulses dictated the battle's rhythm, and human crews moved as extensions of a phantom mind. Time seemed to stretch, warping around engines, shields, and beams of light. A final coordinated strike converged on the Predator's core, destabilizing its dimensional matrix. The rift trembled violently, then began to collapse in on itself. Fragment whispers resonated one last time. Instructions, warnings, farewells. Holt stabilized fleet systems as energy cascades converged, and the Predator's form shattered, folding into non-existence. Sen exhaled, exhaustion and relief flooding him. Humanity had survived the rift, and the Leviathan's legacy had been fulfilled. The fleet drifted through calm space, fragments around them whispering echoes of a vessel that had died centuries ago to ensure they could live. The rift's remnants collapsed, leaving the fleet floating in a quiet, starlit void. Admiral Varic surveyed the scene, exhaustion heavy in his chest. Holt scanned the surviving fragments. Whispers still lingered, though fading. "The Leviathan. It's gone," she murmured. "But its guidance, it still resonates." Sen's eyes hardened. The battle was won, but the fragments hinted at unfinished business. secrets the Leviathan hadn't fully revealed, and dangers the rift had yet to release. Humanity had survived, but the galaxy remained uncharted and vulnerable. Small fragments drifted nearby, holographic echoes flickering faintly. Holt interfaced, discovering traces of hidden data embedded in quantum matrices. Coordinates, signals, something beyond the rift, she said, urgency creeping into her tone. Sen's voice was low but firm. Then we follow them. Whatever the Leviathan left behind might hold the next threat, or the next weapon. The fleet reoriented, engines humming cautiously. Humanity had won the immediate battle, but shadows in the Leviathan's memory suggested the war had only entered its next phase. Colonized systems received fragmented transmissions from Leviathan debris, cryptic warnings, coordinates, and faint energy signatures. Holt pieced together a trail of quantum echoes leading to uncharted sectors. "These aren't just coordinates," she explained. "They're a breadcrumb trail. The Leviathan knew something else was coming." Sen's brow furrowed. The Admiral realized their victory was temporary. Somewhere beyond the mapped stars, a threat waited. One the Leviathan had prepared for, but humanity had only glimpsed. The fleet accelerated toward the first set of coordinates, navigating through dense asteroid fields and unstable warp corridors. Fragment pulses guided engines, shields, and weapons, ensuring survival through treacherous space. Sen reviewed holomaps of projected paths, each echo of the Leviathan offering insight into alien constructs and potential ambushes. Holt's voice broke his focus. "We're not just following instructions. We're learning strategy from a consciousness that died centuries ago." The Admiral exhaled. Humanity's future would be shaped not only by survival, but by deciphering the full extent of the Leviathan's final intelligence. The first uncharted system came into view. A shattered star, its planets fractured, radiation streams twisting unpredictably. Fragments scattered through orbit, some resonating with Leviathan echoes. Holt interfaced, extracting tactical projections embedded in the debris. "These fragments, they show past battles," she whispered. "The Leviathan fought here before the rift consumed it." Sen realized they were standing in the graveyard of the Leviathan's history, a place of victories and losses that had shaped its final consciousness. Alien constructs stirred within the debris, long dormant yet suddenly active. Holt's console pulsed warnings, guiding the fleet to defensive formations. Beams of light cut through the shadowed wreckage, synchronized with fragment pulses. Sen's voice carried calm authority as ships twisted through unstable space. Every maneuver was guided by lessons learned centuries ago, yet now applied in real time. The Leviathan's fragments were more than memory. They were instruments of survival, offering strategy, warning, and understanding to a fleet untested in such hostile territory. Sensors detected a massive energy source deep within the shattered star system. Holt decoded fragment whispers, revealing fragments of an alien control network. "It's like the Leviathan fought a civilization here, and left warnings," she said. Sen's hands hovered over the command console. The fleet advanced cautiously, engines thrumming as fragments pulsed with quantum data. Every ship moved in perfect synchrony, a living extension of Leviathan's strategy. The Admiral understood the gravity of the moment. History was guiding them toward both danger and discovery. The energy source flared, sending ripples through the fleet. Holt's translations revealed schematics embedded in fragment matrices, designs for alien war machines, strategies, and weapon systems. Sen realized the Leviathan had left more than warnings. It had left tools for humanity to survive the unknown. "We need to retrieve these," he said. The fleet advanced, shields pulsing with fragment resonance. Every movement, every shot, every calculation was guided by echoes of a vessel long dead. The Leviathan's legacy was no longer just memory. It was the blueprint for humanity's next stage of survival. The fleet entered the heart of the shattered system. Fragments swirled around a massive alien structure, its hull warping space around it. Holt interfaced, translating whispers from fragments into tactical projections. This is a command node, she said, awe in her voice. Sen's jaw tightened. The Leviathan had fought here, lost, and left behind the tools to confront whatever remained. The fleet aligned, engines at maximum, weapons ready. Humanity had learned to fight with ghosts, but now they would fight with the Leviathan's full legacy. Alien defenses activated, energy beams slicing through debris fields. Holt synchronized fleet systems with fragment pulses, predicting attack vectors and countermeasures. Sen's voice commanded the fleet, "Engage! Trust the Leviathan." Ships twisted, fired, and dodged with uncanny precision, each movement guided by echoes of a consciousness that had died centuries ago. The command node's secrets pulsed with energy, promising new insight and unprecedented power. Humanity had survived the rift, but the Leviathan's final warnings hinted at an even greater threat lurking in the shadows of the galaxy. The alien command node thrummed with energy, fragments orbiting like sentinels. Holt interfaced, translating its embedded directives into tactical patterns. "The Leviathan fought this system centuries ago," she said. "It left us strategies, but it also left warnings." Sen's eyes narrowed. The fleet approached cautiously, weapons primed. Every movement was a test, an echo of battles long past, now guiding human hands through lethal territory. The Admiral knew one misstep could awaken whatever had destroyed the Leviathan once before. Sensors flared as dormant alien war machines activated, folding space around the fleet. Fragment pulses projected countermaneuvers, guiding shields and weapons in real time. Sen issued rapid orders, fleet formations twisting with uncanny precision. Holt's voice trembled slightly, awe in her tone. "The Leviathan left us more than memory. It left a battlefield blueprint." Ships fired, engines screamed, and the fleet danced with ghosts. Humanity was no longer reacting. They were executing centuries-old strategies in perfect synchronization with the Leviathan's consciousness. A massive war machine emerged from the node's interior, larger than any Phantom encountered before. Its hull shimmered with quantum distortions. Holt interfaced with fragments, translating historical attack patterns into predictive algorithms. "This thing, it's designed to counter the Leviathan itself," she whispered. Sen's jaw tightened. Every pulse of the fragment revealed lessons from battles lost centuries ago. Humanity had survived the rift, but this enemy was on an entirely different scale. The fleet engaged, weaving through the machine's attacks with fragment-guided precision. Energy beams collided with the alien hull, while shields resonated with Leviathan pulses. Sen's voice carried calm authority as he coordinated maneuvers. Holt's interface projected potential outcomes, each dependent on exact timing and positioning. Humanity's survival depended on trusting the ghosts of a vessel long dead. The war machine moved with a frightening intelligence, yet every attack was anticipated, every weakness exploited by centuries of Leviathan memory guiding human hands. The war machine split into multiple folds, striking from impossible angles. Fragment pulses projected countermoves across the fleet, guiding weapons and shields in perfect synchrony. Holt's voice was urgent. "We can't brute force this. We have to think like the Leviathan." Sen nodded grimly. The Admiral's fleet twisted through warped space, executing strategies embedded in fragments, each move a reflection of a vessel that had once ruled the void. Humanity's survival required merging instinct with memory, technology with echoes of a titan. A massive fragment pulsed, revealing the war machine's core vulnerabilities. Holt fed the data into fleet AI, synchronizing fire patterns across dozens of vessels. Sen's voice commanded flawlessly over comms. "Target the core folds simultaneously. Trust the Leviathan." Beams of light intersected, energy streams pulsed, and shields braced for backlash. For a fleeting moment, the fleet moved as one entity, guided by the memory of a vessel that had perished centuries ago, humanity's war against the ancient enemy had truly begun. The alien war machine convulsed, folding space violently, yet counterattacks struck its core folds with precision. Holt's interface projected Leviathan tactical diagrams in real time. "We're hitting it where it's weakest, just like the Leviathan did," she said. Sen gritted his teeth. The Admiral's fleet moved as one, guided by fragments and intuition. Humanity had become a living extension of the Leviathan's mind, fighting not just ships, but a predator that spanned dimensions. Energy arcs illuminated the void as the war machine attempted to escape through folds. Holt recalibrated fragment resonance, projecting new maneuvers for interception. Sen's voice rang clear. "Cut it off. No fold escapes." Ships twisted impossibly, firing in perfect coordination, shields pulsing with Leviathan guidance. Every movement was anticipation, every strike a preemptive counter. The ancient enemy, intelligent and adaptive, now faced the full strategic force of a fleet guided by centuries of phantom memory. Victory demanded absolute synchronization and faith in echoes long dead. The war machine's hull cracked under synchronized fire, folds destabilizing violently. Holt's interface revealed a final resonance pattern capable of collapsing the Predator's dimensional nodes. "This is the Leviathan's ultimate plan," she whispered. Sen's eyes hardened, the fleet aligned precisely, engines thrumming, weapons primed. Every pulse from fragments guided them, every echo anticipating the enemy's next move. Humanity's survival and the defeat of the ancient predator depended on executing the final sequence flawlessly. Energy streams converged on the war machine's core, destabilizing space around it. Fragment whispers resonated through every vessel, guiding shields, engines, and weapons in perfect harmony. The machine shuddered, folds collapsing, and the fleet held formation as the Leviathan's legacy guided each strike. Sen exhaled slowly, watching the predator convulse before disintegrating into fractured light. Humanity had survived another trial, its fleet now inseparable from the consciousness of a vessel that had once defined the edge of the galaxy. The Leviathan's secrets were alive, and so was its guidance. The fleet drifted in the aftermath, engines humming against the void. Holt scanned the shattered war machine fragments, discovering encoded Leviathan data embedded in quantum cores. "These fragments, they're more than strategy," she whispered. "They're a warning and a blueprint." Sen's jaw tightened. The Admiral realized that surviving this enemy was only part of the story. Somewhere beyond known space, a greater threat awaited. The Leviathan had prepared humanity, but it had never fought the ultimate adversary itself. Fragment pulses revealed pathways to uncharted sectors, networks of energy signatures older than the rift. Holt interfaced cautiously, mapping coordinates into fleet navigation systems. "The Leviathan anticipated this," she said. "It left the tools to confront what's next." Sen's mind raced. Humanity's fleet was no longer just a defensive force. It was a vessel of legacy, memory, and strategy. Every ship, every fragment, every pulse could determine whether the galaxy survived what was coming or was consumed by centuries of hidden war. The fleet entered an uncharted system, stars fractured and warped by ancient energies. Fragment whispers pulsed urgently, revealing patterns of alien civilizations the Leviathan had encountered long ago. Holt's console projected ghostly echoes of battles lost and won. "We're walking through history," she murmured. Sen's gaze hardened. Every fragment was a fragment of truth, and every truth was a warning. Humanity was not alone, and the Leviathan had fought forces whose memory stretched across centuries. Alien anomalies twisted through space, gravitational distortions folding stars like paper. Engines screamed as the fleet maneuvered, guided by fragment pulses that revealed hidden energy currents. Holt interpreted Leviathan projections, mapping defensive positions and potential ambushes. Sen's voice rang steady. Trust the fragments. Trust the Leviathan. Every ship moved in perfect synchronization, weapons and shields harmonized with ancient intelligence. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. It was learning to fight like the Leviathan across time, space, and dimensions. A colossal energy node pulsed in the center of the system, radiating waves of dimensional instability. Holt interfaced with fragments, uncovering Leviathan protocols for containing such power. This is a relic of the civilizations it fought, she said, awe in her voice. Sen understood immediately. The Leviathan had left not only warnings but the means to wield the remnants of ancient technology. The fleet prepared for both defense and exploitation. Engines throttled, weapons primed, guided by centuries of phantom strategy. Alien guardians emerged from the energy node, massive constructs of folded space and light. Fragment pulses projected countermeasures, guiding shields and weapons through impossible trajectories. Sen's voice commanded with precision. Engage with Leviathan coordination. Beams of energy collided with alien constructs, shields resonating with fragment pulses. Holt's console glowed as algorithms predicted enemy moves before they occurred. Humanity had become a living extension of Leviathan's memory, merging intuition, strategy, and technology to survive and learn from the past. The fleet synchronized with the energy node, drawing Leviathan-guided energy into shields and weapons. Holt's interface revealed hidden resonance patterns capable of controlling the node's power. "We can harness this, or it can destroy us," she warned. Sen's eyes hardened. The Admiral knew one misstep could unravel the fleet, or the galaxy itself. The Leviathan's guidance pulsed through every system, every ship, every fragment. Humanity was no longer reactive. They were executing the final stages of a strategy crafted centuries before. Alien constructs surged, testing fleet formations with adaptive maneuvers. Fragment pulses adjusted shields and weapons in real time, predicting folds and attacks before they occurred. Sen issued flawless commands, the fleet moving as one organism, a living extension of Leviathan strategy. Holt projected potential outcomes, each dependent on precise timing and execution. Humanity's survival depended on perfect coordination with echoes of a vessel long dead. The energy node trembled violently, signaling that the final phase was imminent, a climax that would determine the fate of the galaxy itself. The energy node's core pulsed with brilliant intensity, radiating waves that threatened to tear the fleet apart. Holt interfaced fully, projecting Leviathan instructions for channeling the energy safely. "This is the Leviathan's ultimate contingency," she said. Sen's voice was calm but commanding. "Prepare for full synchronization. This is the moment." Every ship adjusted, engines throttled, weapons aligned, shields resonating with fragment pulses. Humanity was about to wield the power of a Titan's memory, and the galaxy hung in the balance. Energy cascades converged across the fleet, synchronized with Leviathan fragments and predictive algorithms. Alien guardians faltered under precise, coordinated attacks. Holt monitored every pulse, every fluctuation, every echo of strategy. Sen's gaze held steady as the energy node stabilized, its power harnessed rather than destructive. Humanity had survived, guided by fragments of a vessel that had died centuries ago. The Leviathan's legacy was complete, but its whispers hinted at a deeper, lingering threat, one that would challenge the fleet in ways history had never prepared them for. The energy node stabilized, but fragments pulsed with a warning. Something deeper stirred beyond the mapped sectors. Holt interfaced, revealing partial maps of a hidden network of rifts older than the Leviathan itself. "This isn't just one threat," she whispered. "It's a chain, a network across dimensions." Sen's jaw tightened. The Admiral realized the war they had survived was merely a prelude. Humanity's fleet had been guided by memory, but now they faced the original architect of destruction, the true predator that had consumed civilizations long before the Leviathan fell. Fragments began projecting tactical simulations at unprecedented speed, revealing strategies not even the Leviathan had fully executed. Holt's fingers flew over interfaces, translating whispers into actionable commands. The fleet repositioned, shields pulsing with fragment energy, engines screaming as space twisted around them. Sen felt the weight of history pressing down. The Leviathan's legacy was their only hope, and they had to wield it flawlessly. The predator beyond the rifts was awake, and the galaxy's survival depended on their understanding of the fragment-guided strategy. A massive rift tore open at the edge of the system, twisting stars and warping space. Alien constructs surged from its depths, far larger and more intelligent than any encountered before. Holt's console flared as fragments translated warnings. This was the Leviathan's true adversary, the force behind the Rift Predator, the entity that had driven entire civilizations to extinction. Sen's voice cut through comms. Brace for full engagement. Follow fragment guidance exactly. Humanity was about to face an enemy that had outlived the Leviathan itself. The fleet twisted through warped space, weapons firing along fragment-predicted trajectories. Shields pulsed in resonance with Leviathan whispers, stabilizing ships against the rift's distortions. Holt monitored energy flows, adjusting pulses in real time. Sen's mind raced, synchronizing maneuvers with fragment projections. The enemy was adaptive, intelligent, and relentless. But humanity had learned to fight with echoes of the Leviathan guiding them. Every strike, every dodge, every coordinated move was a dance of memory and strategy against a predator older than history. The Leviathan's largest fragments pulsed with urgency, projecting simulations of ancient battles fought across dimensional folds. Holt interpreted them rapidly. These are lessons, failures, and contingency plans the Leviathan couldn't finish. Sen's jaw tightened. Humanity was being shown the full scope of an interdimensional war they had never imagined. The predator beyond the rift was not just a machine. It was intelligence, adaptive and patient, observing every move and learning from history itself. Alien constructs converged, folding space unpredictably. Fragment pulses guided fleet formations, predicting attacks before they occurred. Holt's console flashed with dimensional calculations, Leviathan echoes shaping each maneuver. Sen's voice was steady over comms. Trust the fragments. Trust the Leviathan. Engage. Ships twisted impossibly through warped space, firing with precision. Humanity had become an extension of a vessel long dead, relying on memory and strategy to counter a predator that had defeated titans of the past. The true battle had begun. The predator revealed itself. A colossal entity, warping space with every movement, its intelligence far surpassing any human or Leviathan construct. Holt interfaced with fragments, extracting the Leviathan's ultimate contingency, a resonance pattern capable of temporarily nullifying the predator's folds. "We can't destroy it, but we can control it," she whispered. Sen's eyes hardened. The Admiral understood. Victory would not be brute force. It would be perfect execution of a strategy centuries in the making. The fleet synchronized with fragment pulses, shields resonating, engines throttled, weapons aligned. Holt projected Leviathan resonance patterns across every ship, creating a living network of coordinated action. The predator lashed out, folds twisting violently, yet every strike was countered, anticipated, or redirected. Sen's voice carried calm authority. Hold formation. Trust the Leviathan. Humanity's fleet moved as one organism, guided by echoes of a vessel that had died long before this enemy had awoken. The galaxy's fate teetered on the precision of their execution. Energy cascades converged on the predator's folds, destabilizing its dimensional matrix. Fragment pulses intensified, projecting the Leviathan's ultimate pattern, a full containment sequence designed to trap an interdimensional intelligence. Holt interfaced directly with the largest fragment, guiding weapons and shields with unprecedented synchronization. Sen felt centuries of strategy, sacrifice, and memory flowing through the fleet. Humanity was about to perform a maneuver the Leviathan had never completed, a final confrontation against an adversary older than the galaxy itself. The Predator convulsed violently, space folding chaotically around its immense form. Fragment whispers guided the fleet, projecting the final strikes with split-second precision. Holt's console flared as resonance nodes stabilized, containing the Predator's folds temporarily. Sen's voice cut through the chaos. Execute the final sequence. Trust the Leviathan. Ships fired in perfect harmony. Shields pulsed with fragment energy, and the Predator's immense form trembled. Humanity had survived centuries of lost history, guided by memory, and now they faced the ultimate challenge, the final act of the Leviathan's long-forgotten war. The Predator convulsed violently within the Leviathan-guided resonance network, folding space in chaotic bursts. Holt's console glowed with overlapping fragment pulses, projecting the final containment pattern. "We're at the limit," she warned. Sen's hands gripped the command console, heart hammering. "Then push beyond it," he said. The fleet tightened formation, engines screaming, weapons aligned perfectly. Humanity's survival depended on precision, timing, and the memory of a vessel that had died centuries ago. Energy cascades struck the Predator simultaneously, destabilizing its folds. Fragment pulses resonated with shields and engines, guiding every ship. Sen's voice commanded flawlessly, "Hold the formation. Execute the final strike." Holt monitored the resonance nodes, adjusting for every fluctuation. The Predator roared across dimensions, yet the Leviathan's legacy enveloped it, controlling its movements, restricting its power. Humanity had become a living instrument of a long-dead Titan, poised on the knife's edge between triumph and annihilation. A final, concentrated surge of energy struck the Predator's core folds. Holt's interface pulsed with Leviathan memory, guiding precise timing and synchronization. "Now," she whispered. Sen gave the order, fleet engines thrumming in unison, weapons discharging at every projected node. The Predator convulsed, its immense form folding in on itself. Fragment whispers intensified, offering last-second instructions and warnings. Humanity's fleet moved as one, a living extension of centuries of lost strategy and sacrifice. The Predator's form flickered, folds collapsing violently. Energy cascades converged, fragment pulses resonating through shields and weapons. Holt stabilized the sequence, ensuring no disruption. Sen's gaze held steady as the Predator's consciousness twisted, then shattered across dimensions. Silence followed, a void both terrifying and absolute. The Leviathan's final secret had been executed perfectly. Humanity had survived the unthinkable, wielding the legacy of a vessel that had died to prepare them for the ultimate threat. The void settled, fragments orbiting quietly, their whispers now faint, almost reverent. Holt interfaced one last time, tracing hidden Leviathan directives that remained after the battle. "It wasn't just survival," she said softly. "It was preparation for something bigger." Sen's mind raced. The fleet had endured centuries of forgotten war, learned strategy from ghosts, and faced an interdimensional predator. Yet the Leviathan hinted at more. Threats hidden, lessons unfinished, a galaxy still in need of guardians. The fleet reoriented, engines humming, shields stabilizing. Sen addressed the crews. "We survived because we learned, because we trusted the Leviathan's guidance, but our mission is not over." Holt projected maps of unexplored systems, quantum rifts, and fragment nodes. The Leviathan's fragments whispered one final message: vigilance. Humanity had won the battle, but the war across dimensions, across time, and across memory was far from complete. They were now custodians of a galaxy haunted by echoes of a phantom vessel. As the fleet advanced toward new coordinates, fragments pulsed with residual energy, revealing hidden Leviathan technologies. Holt interfaced, uncovering designs for ships, weapons, and shields far beyond current human engineering. "These are gifts," she murmured. "Blueprints for the next stage." Sen understood immediately. The Leviathan had not only prepared humanity to survive, it had equipped them to confront the unknown, to shape the galaxy's future with knowledge that centuries of war had forged. Alien anomalies twisted nearby, remnants of the Predator's influence. Fragment pulses guided the fleet through unstable space, engines screaming, shields resonating. Holt's console projected patterns for navigation and combat, each echo of the Leviathan a lesson and a warning. Sen's eyes scanned the void. Humanity had survived the Leviathan's wars, the Rift, and the Predator, but now they faced a galaxy full of hidden threats and mysteries. The fleet was ready. Guided by ghosts, armed with knowledge, they would shape the next chapter of history. The fleet entered uncharted space, stars stretching in impossible patterns. Fragment pulses whispered, fading but leaving behind knowledge and strategy. Holt projected maps, simulations, and Leviathan secrets, guiding ships through regions untouched by history. Sen's voice was calm, resolute. "We are the legacy now, guardians of what survives." Humanity had endured centuries of erasure, fought phantom wars, and emerged stronger, guided by echoes of a vessel that had once defined the edge of the galaxy. The fleet moved as one, a living testament to memory, strategy, and survival. Fragment whispers lingered, fading into quiet resonance, a final farewell from the Leviathan. Holt watched the stars, awe in her eyes. Sen gazed ahead, determination set in stone. Humanity had survived, learned, and inherited the legacy of the greatest phantom vessel ever to traverse the galaxy. Ahead lay mysteries, threats, and adventures yet unknown. But for now, they sailed together, engines roaring, guided by ghosts, ready to write the next chapter in the galaxy's history. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.